Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always. And today we are joined by Harish Chandramowli, founder, engineer, and problem solver who has built companies at the intersection of technology, security, and fashion. With a master's in computer and information system security from Johns Hopkins, he began his career strengthening data systems at Bloomberg and MongoDB, where he led security and engineering teams serving the world's top enterprises. Today, Harish is founder and CEO of Zeroshop.ai and co-founder of Flaire, a platform transforming how fashion businesses manage complexity with AI. From cybersecurity exploits to scaling startups, Harish brings deep technical expertise and real-world experience in building what the future demands. I've asked him to join us here today to share his story plus insights into building solutions that scale. So Harish, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. Happy to
Yeah,
be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We've had a couple of nice chats. Now, I kind of went over your bio a little bit there, but can you talk a little bit about how do you even get started in this? I mean, do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
No. I when I grew up, my whole aim is to just like do my grad school, join some company, hopefully move to some cities in India, and that's pretty much it. Every other thing evolved in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, where did you grow up? I remember we talked about this before.
It's a very beautiful place called Gobichetipalayam, if you can pronounce it or remember the name, but it's Tamil Nadu, southernmost part of India. It's a small town, really beautiful town you should visit.
So it's a small town in rural India. And so your parents weren't entrepreneurs. So how'd you end up in America and raising seed capital and on this wild, I can see the
So
smile.
I think the lot of things started, I believe, around the time I joined Hopkins, because I did my grad school. I went for my undergrad to a city in India, which was fine. I joined a company and I was in Hyderabad, which is like a metropolitan city in India. From there, I came to Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is the first time I saw people choose so many different career. People went to want to become a professor. People wanted to become an entrepreneur. And the quality of people, quality of students around me were so great that I just look up to everyone, and that's pretty much where a lot of things started.
I love that. So what do you mean? We started looking up to everyone. How did that start things?
After college, I went to join Bloomberg, where some of my friends started their own cryptocurrency. Some of them went back to home country to start some crypto exchanges. I mean, at the time, crypto was the hottest thing, and we were in security, so it made kind of like more sense. And a lot of our professors wanted to do a lot of research. Some of my like friends went to do PhDs and became professors. So everyone did something different and kind of excites you that like, hey, there are so many options out there.
Hmm.
And let's see where we can have fun, where I would be very happy. And that's where it started.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So how did you end up coming to America? I mean, we're still talking about India.
That is very traditional. Like I did my undergrad and I was thinking like, hey, what can I do next? It's like higher studies versus like job. I went for a job and then I'm like, I still want to study more. And I was exploring higher studies, applied to a bunch of colleges. Out of all the options I had, when I got Hopkins, it's one of the universities at the very top of my list. And the moment I got Johns Hopkins, yeah, that was like a no-brainer.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So explain to me kind of a little bit of your entrepreneurship journey. Right now, we're still talking about school. So how does that translate? Did school prepare you for entrepreneurship?
No. So the what happened after my Johns Hopkins days is that like me and my roommates from Hopkins, we started a small website in India for ride sharing. We applied some of the topics we studied in security into real world during that time. It's called Ride Engine. It was not supposed to be a startup. We were like, okay, we all have time. It's a problem we saw, we would solve it. And we got traction. People started using it without any ad. We got news media coverages without like paying anything. Looking back, I can't believe what a good position we were at. Now that I'm rising capital, I know it's a good position compared to even like where I am right now. But unfortunately, at the time, all of us came from India. We had education loan, family responsibilities. So we couldn't pursue it. But either way, that kind of led me to join MongoDB when they were relatively small in terms of cloud team. I learned a lot. Again, it's the same like Hopkins, where people I reported to, people who started the company, people around me were very fast moving and things like very close to customers. And that just gives you that adrenaline rush during work. And then it's like being an entrepreneur founder is one of the places where you find that adrenaline rush every day.
I love that. You said two things that I think are really important. I want to emphasize those. They were very fast moving. They were very close to customers. And for people that didn't read between the lines, they're fast moving in serving the customers and trying to adapt to what the customers need. I think that's really important.
Yes.
Why?
Whether it's a startup or a bigger company, at the end of the day, happy customers, they talk about you, you get more people because you have happy customers.
Yeah.
And they are the people using the product. They are, you build product to make their life efficient, to make their day-to-day work efficient. And if you can solve it for small group of people, then scaling becomes easier.
Yes. Preach on, brother. No, that's right. I mean, you can almost say the name of the game is happy customers. That's the name of the game is creating happy customers at a profit.
Yes.
That's it. Creating happy customers at a profit. That's such a powerful insight because people are like, well, because a lot of people when they do this, it's the traditional story is somebody likes baking, so I'm going to open up a bakery, and they plan their favorite menu and they plan their logo, and then I want to pick a location that's near my house because I got to do this, that, and it's very about them. It's not about the people that they're serving at all, and that's really upside down, I think. What would you recommend to someone? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, it kind of helps because I am a software engineer. I love building products, but I don't know anything about fashion industry, even for my startup, right? So the only way I can learn about the industry and I can figure out how to solve the hardest problem they have is by listening to them.
Solve the hardest problem they have. Ooh. Are you leaning into hard things? Why not the easiest problem, Harish?
You want people to pay you. The harder their problem is, the more money they would be happy to give you.
I love that. That's right. We call that a bleeding neck. When someone's got a bleeding neck, they're not going to shop around. They're not going to compare options. They're not going to debate about price. They're going to go, my neck is bleeding. Oh my God, help me. Somebody
Like
stubs
in
their
a lot
toe.
of my sales call, we are a premium pricing to some of the existing product they use. Even as a startup, we charge them like 50% more than what they were paying, and people are usually fine with it as long as you solve their problem.
Yeah, I think believability and confidence in the outcome is huge. I mean, I like to use this analogy. Imagine your loved one's at home and they're crying and they are in pain. This is the person you love more than anything, and you just want to help them. And they've got this terrible migraine and they're crying and they go, please, can you go get some medicine? So you go to the supermarket or to the drugstore and everyone's gone. All the shelves are empty. There's only two products on the shelves. One is this giant gallon jug and it says cures all, fixes everything. And it's 99 cents. And beside it is this tiny little bottle and it says cures migraines in 15 minutes or less, no matter how bad they are. And it's $6.99. You're going to buy the $6.99 one because that is the problem you're trying to solve, and you have a greater confidence that I'm going to be able to get the result I want with this one because the bottle says it specifically. I'm not going to have to come back here and get it later because the green glop didn't work, and the green glop is only 99 cents, but it might take an hour to kick in. My loved one is crying and in pain. I'm going to get this one. No one here listening to this is wearing a shoe. They're wearing a dress shoe, a basketball shoe, a walking shoe, a hiking shoe. It's a specific use case. So what you're saying is so important. And no matter what level of the game you're at, it's so easy to forget, especially once you're getting sales. It's so easy to forget that things can change.
Yeah.
So I love that. So what would you recommend to someone who's maybe starting a business or struggling right now?
I don't, if you're struggling, first thing is that's pretty much every business out there. If someone had a very smooth ride building a startup, I am all ears for the recipe.
Yeah. So well said. So well said. Great.
And
Yeah.
yeah, the other part is like if you're doing a startup, you are passionate about it, you are passionate about either the problem or solution or something about it, right? That's what keeps you going. It's never, not a single day is easy, right? Every day feels like something is going wrong in your company.
Yeah, you need a greater why. I think that's a really important thing. A lot of people might try to go into business to get rich or to run away from something else. My buddy and I used to call it roof and ramen. If you have enough money to have a roof over your head and a cup of hot noodles, so you're not going to starve. At that point, it becomes a game of trying, like you said, to be passionate about the problem that you're solving and about helping people. And then it becomes, almost like a scorecard. How many people have you helped? And I mean, obviously, money's a big important part of it, but I think right now, especially not to take I'm not intending to take this interview sideways, but I think people are fed up with profits for profits at the cost of communities, at the cost of ethics, at the cost of, some of this stuff. I think people are just done with that. And they really just want to do business with people that are just trying to provide solutions. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what's supposed to be, right? We weren't like a little farming community and selling stuff that was going to make other people dependent on us for life, like cigarettes as an example, right? Like that wasn't, I'm sure in your hometown, no one's trying to won over their neighbors. I think that's just, you can't do that in a small town where everybody knows each other. You're a team, you're in it together. So what was one of your greatest challenges in your business career?
The first thing, obviously, like I did not come from sales background, and it was a huge learning curve to understand how to sell. Apart from that, solving problems, building products came naturally to me because I worked at Mongo, Bloomberg, all like big tech companies. But part of that is managing more around budgets, hiring people other than just engineers. Those were some of the places where I feel I needed guidance. But luckily, there were a lot of mentors out there who helped me navigate these challenges.
So how do you sell?
The first thing I learned is that even if I have the best product in the world, do not show them the product. Just let them talk. And that helps a lot. And then with all this AI and everything, it also makes it easier because when you listen to them, go back, do the homework of how their business works, what are the places where it's inefficient. Then you can come back to the next call and be like, hey, this is how I think your business works. Correct me if I am wrong. And this is how you can make it better. The nice thing about it is like even I usually come up with a flow chart of how their business works. The CEOs and COOs themselves have never thought about their company in like a flow chart,
I do that too.
visual way.
Yeah. We map out the customer journey for them. We're like, this is what we think your customer journey is. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. People forgot this during COVID. People forgot, but forever in medicine, prescriptions without diagnosis was malpractice and would cost you your license. Blanket solutions for everybody, as if we're all the same, would lose you your license in medicine. It was medical malpractice. Now we just forgot about that and mandated stuff on billions of people, but it still applies. And even in sales, you can, unless you're the government, you have to submit to the court of public opinion, and that is your potential customers, and they can just choose to not do business with you because we don't have that strong arm enforcement of the government. So you really need to show them that you understand and make a prescription based off of a diagnosis. To diagnose something, you have to collect data and explain to them what you've collected, and then why do you think this is going to fit based off that. I love that. I love that. It's not selling ice to Eskimos. It's not shoving things people need. It's not bullying. It's not any of that. It's actually helping people. That's so crazy. Harish, you're almost making business sound like an altruistic endeavor. Like we're solving problems. We're trying to share with people and listen to them talk about their situation and really try to provide a solution.
There are other parts to it. One of the things you asked about the founder journey, right? It's
Yeah.
not just the sales. I hate when people cold call me. And I am
Ah.
so much against cold calling. But then when you run your sales org, you have to do that because it works.
Well, it's meeting
Out of,
people. Yeah, it works.
yeah.
It's meeting people. It's a business is like a never-ending job hunt because Apple's not saying, I think we sold enough iPhones. I think we're good. Like you just need to find the next sale. And then, especially in software, like you're so fortunate that you grew up in software because software, the margins in software are phenomenal. For people that don't know, for almost all the software tools that you use, the cost of adding another user is near zero. Versus if I'm selling chairs, I got to buy more materials, build a new chair, store it as inventory somewhere, physically ship it. A service, it costs me my time. There's a whole lot, but service, software, I think Gmail has 40 software engineers and they serve 1 billion people. So yeah.
Yeah. So I went to Johns Hopkins. So a lot of my friends do have startups which are like medical hardware. I do not envy them. It's
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
The capital required and the amount of time it takes to get to each customer.
Yeah.
I have respect for people who run hardware startups.
Yeah. Hardware and physical products can be really tough, but if you can make it, there's a moat because it's tough. That moat protects your business from upstarts. Whereas right now, especially with AI, if you're in a software company, a kid in a basement in a small town with a Starlink internet connection and just a cheat, you're competing against anyone with an internet connection on the planet, essentially.
It's
So there's
so scary how much AI can write the code.
yeah, yeah. That's really powerful. I was saying something, but I forgot, but that's okay. So all right. So okay. So now what do you think are some of the most important skills and behaviors to have as an entrepreneur trying to grow a company?
Perseverance
Perseverance.
and be able to move on from both wins and losses because there is something else that is there happening in the next 10 minutes. So you would be like, if you lose a deal, yeah, you lost a deal, but concentrate on the next one.
Yeah.
If you win one, you can't soak on the laurels because you need to think about the next meeting, next problem.
Yeah. Well, never mind. You were talking about cold calling. That was it. So you've created a solution, a little black box. It's a factory that produces widgets, or it's a dentist office, and people go in crying on one side when in pain, and they leave smiling and happy on the other side. Or it's a software tool that'll do this thing for people all day, every day. And if you've got the solution, your goal is to find everyone suffering. It's like if I had the cure for diabetes. If I was really trying to make a difference in the world, sure, I can have the desire to get rich from it. But if I actually have a solution, I should be able to find and connect with and help everyone I can. And that means I got to go out into the world and I got to meet people. The problem is a lot of people don't know how to do it, or they're really pushy, or, there's a lot of noise out there, signal to noise. If it's done right, it's not as bad and as offensive. So,
It it is a fine margin because if you are not little bit pushy, you
yes.
don't get things across the line. But you can't be too pushy to an extent where people are annoyed with you.
Yeah, you actually hit a great point because a lot of people doing nothing is a huge obstacle. People are comfortable. I mean, there's some people that are in terrible situations that, what is this? I think Dan Kenny said most people are like lobsters waiting for the tide to come to them, where they would have a whole ocean in front of them if they could just walk move a few feet. And that's I think that's really important. There's a lot of people, if they just spent an extra half hour getting some exercise, if they just put the cookie down, you know what I mean? Like just some, Jim Rohn used to say, eating an apple a day will keep a doctor away. Well, eating an apple a day is easy to do, but not eating an apple is also easy to do, and it's just it's the small things. They call them soft skills, but I think they're vital. They're vital skills, those little things. So I love that. What are some of the habits? Do you have like daily, weekly habits that you think are mission critical?
Definitely in terms of like I walk a lot and definitely plan for the day, what to come next day and things around there. That is very important to me. Having some time blocks for each type of task I do has been very important because the moment I started managing both sales, engineering team, and product, everyone looks up to you. Everyone wants to get direction from you. That means you need to make sure you communicate to everyone but you can't just like keep juggling between things, right? So you need to have a clear plan on what works for you.
Yeah, you reminded me of two different quotes. One is hard work will always beat talent when talent refuses to work hard. So just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to win, but if you don't work hard, you're just going to fall behind. And the other one was a mentor of mine. He said, delegate as much as you can. So you're calling the shots, analyzing the stats, and copywriting. And I interviewed him probably about a year ago for the show again, probably his fourth or fifth appearance. And I told him I'd change it to communicating. Because in today's day and age, it's if you're communicating with potential clients, communicating with staff, and that's kind of what he meant. In his age, he came in the early days of the internet. He was one of the first pioneers of doing business on the internet. One of the earliest. He had Mark Andreessen, the guy who made the browser. He did the first seminar on how to do business over the internet. And he had Netscape? The Netscape browser, the guy, Mark Andreessen, that coded that. He had him as a speaker at that conference. And the banner ad was actually invented at one of his conferences. So he's a pioneer, but delegate as much as you can. So you're calling the shots, analyzing the stats, and communicating. And I think that's really communicating the vision, communicating with customers, with vendors, with everyone. Like you say, you gotta talk to everybody. So I love that. I love that. Where do you see things going? Like we're going through a lot geopolitically. We're going through a lot technologically. What do you see coming down the pipeline 5, 10 years from now?
Technology is evolving. There is going to be a lot of pets.com. If you know, the analogy is like any website that gets created in 90s gets $1 billion investment and they never made the money back. But Google's and Amazon's also came out of the fundamental technology shift. And I feel we are fundamentally in such kind of technology shift. Every solution, how every problem gets solved by software is going to get reimagined, which means there is going to be 90% of the companies that comes up that solves XYZ problem will go bust. But there is going to be 2 or 3 real winners who is going to figure out this technological shift. And that's an interesting thing in the next 10 years to observe.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I went to a conference. I went to this conference, and next door was this AI conference, and ours ended and theirs was still going. And I just decided to walk the vendor alley. I didn't want to crash. I didn't pay to go to it. I didn't know if it was for free or whatever. I didn't want to, but I figured the vendors wouldn't be upset if I went to their booth. So I went to all the vendor booths, and Google was there, and all these banks were there. And this is when ChatGPT first came out. It was just a couple of months old, like maybe 4 months max. And I remember every booth was talking about the new thing they were working on to incorporate AI into what they're doing. And I realized at that moment, someone had hit the reset button. Because at this point, whatever they were selling up until that time was now obsolete without an AI enhancement. And that meant it was kind of ground zero. They might have the advantage because they have a team of 40 engineers. Sure, and I don't. But it's not the moat they had before, where they had 40 engineers, I have none, and there's no way I can compete with that. I mean, I can just, in a lot of ways, you can pull open source code and give it to AI, and you're off to the races, like in a week. We used to be a year. So
yes, so it's an interesting time, right? But every time these technology shift happens, there is going to be a lot of companies which try and fail.
Yeah.
That's not inherently a bad thing. That is needed for a world to figure out how to use this new technology.
Yeah. We've talked a couple of times, forgive me for talking over, but I think that your small town roots does you a massive favor because of the fact that you said at the very beginning, fast moving close to customers is about creating happy customers and solve the hardest problems they have. And that is just an incredibly simple and succinct way. It's easy for people to overlook. It's very easy to overlook. Well, yeah, but what about my referral velocity rate? And what about all that doesn't matter. And so like you say, if you're solving a problem, if you're consistently solving a specific problem if you're consistently selling a specific solution to a specific problem, experienced by a specific type of person, unless you get wiped out by a tsunami that no one can see, you should weather the storm.
Yes, and often people always want this whole big of I'm creating the next $1 trillion company. You don't need to. You can start small and start expanding to adjacent areas, start expanding to different similar problem at different spaces.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
will keep figuring it out and you will keep growing. It doesn't have to be like day one, I have this $1 trillion idea.
Yeah. I think that's because people are so detached from farm life. This is a true thing. My daughter, I have two daughters, and one of them, her whole life, I've tried to have her interested in flowers and plants because I think if she just learned about gardening, there's so much of an analogy that you can learn about life in terms of there's a season to reap and a season to sow, that there's parasites, that you have to nurture things to get them to grow, that everything has stages of growth. There's all these inherent things that you don't learn if you're a city kid. I was a city kid. I didn't learn a lot of this stuff. And I was, a lot of this, and that's why people just I have an idea and I just click a button and my TV opens up and I get stuff. And this idea is going to become a trillion. You see when you watch these shows like Dragon's Den, or Shark Tank and stuff, like people come, they're like, my company's worth $1 billion. And they're okay, how much do you have in sales? Well, we've had 20 sales. And so we got market validity. I'm like, what are you talking about? People are just so detached from the real world. And that's where I think part of what's kept you and helped you on your path to getting funding and to, having people want to help you out so much is they can tell that there's a lot of signal in what you're saying, not as much noise.
I think candidly, like growing up, if I would have thought that I would be in New York, I would have an office at Times Square. If anyone had told me that you can do this, I would have laughed as well. It's just small milestone gets you to the next stage.
Yeah, yes. Small steps. I love this. I love it. None of this is revolutionary. None of this is here's the we're not going to get off the call. Harish and I are not going to get off the call and be like, hey, here are the real secrets. Now that we told them that stuff, here's the real magic pill. Like I think we're laying it all out right here, aren't we? I don't know if there's anything, mysterious. It's hard work though. It's not easy. It's simple to explain. So now, how do you approach preparing your team? Like, obviously, you have direct reports, and you know that we're entering into the unknown. So, how are you helping develop them for an unknown future?
It's one of the places actually I change a lot compared to how I manage team at, say, MongoDB, right? Because it's a big company. Traditionally, it's like, this is what you need to do to become a senior. This is what you need to do to become a staff engineer and stuff. And we always have like a clear quarterly plan because even when I joined, the company was $3 billion. So it's reasonably big. Whereas if you're working at Flair or Zeroshop, you get visibility into 2 to 3 days work max. That's it. So every day morning we come, I have a 30-minute session with my engineering and product. And I'm like, this is what I need today. This is the customers I'm going to talk to. This is the customer who complained yesterday. Let's get these things done. And that's it. It's when I say fast moving, it's really fast moving. It's very, if you are reporting to me at this stage of the company, one, I don't have one-on-ones and everything. Everyone knows all the good and the bad things in the company. And you just need to take responsibility, run and bring me the answers.
So, no big quarterly goals.
Nope. Weekly is the maximum I look forward to, and that's it.
Really? So, is there a lot of product iteration happening?
Yes.
Okay.
It's if you have good engineers and if it's a small team, even before the world of AI, it's so easy to iterate as a startup because you just know the code inside out. You just know the product inside out. You just know all your customers inside out.
Right.
So moving fast becomes easier. And it goes back to the first we were discussing, right? Solving something your customer needs and making your customers happy. That means unless I talk to customers, I have no idea what exactly I should build 3 months from now, sometimes at the beginning stages. So it comes down to that. Today, I will talk to a customer. They might need something. I feel like this is a problem that is felt by few other customers. Okay, let's quickly solve the problem, release the code.
Yeah.
The trust goes both ways, right? All my customers have the trust that when we release something new, We say that, hey, it's new, there might be bugs. They know what to expect.
Yeah, how do you handle that? I think on our own, because we're developing our own tools, but also there's a tool that I've had for, I think I've had it since 2012. And they just made an update and it broke a ton of stuff for me. And it's caused me a bunch of grief. And I'm thinking, guys, how old are you? Like, how are we having this? And maybe it's just the nature of the beast. But can you just wax poetic for a minute on how to minimize that by having staged rollouts, and how does that work for maybe non-technical people?
So obviously when I worked at MongoDB and Bloomberg, when we roll out to like 5% customers, 10% customers. So you always have a very, very easy way to roll back. When it comes to Flaire, typically what I would do is like roll out during the times my customers don't use the product for critical workflows, example, weekends, because your purchase order is often received during weekdays. You look at your numbers mostly during like Sunday evening or on the weekdays. So Friday midnight, Saturday morning is like the perfect time to release new products. I do have testing around critical flows so that people don't have a breakage around the most critical flows out there. But otherwise, like I said, it's a trust the customer has that if something goes wrong,
You'll fix
if they
it.
complain to me, we will fix it within like 30 to 40 minutes
Yeah.
without any service disruption.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could just be like I messed up a sync to create a new product that is going to get launched. So I manually just went and created those product for them in the software.
Yeah.
So their business operates, and then we kind of like fix the rollouts and everything that's needed.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. So what do you think is some of the best advice? We've talked about stuff in circular manner. What do you think is some of the best advice to help entrepreneurs move forward through this interesting time that we're in?
Some of the best advice I received and which has been so true are like one, being an entrepreneur is a personal growth, personal journey. You should be open to embracing it. Harish, 2 years back is so different from the one right now. And I couldn't have thought about this big of a change in any other job.
Yeah.
The second thing is like confidence, right? You need to be confident. Whatever happens, even if 100 people says it's not going to work, it's not right. Sometimes you just have to trust and go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I laughed really hard. I did this program called Katimovic when I was 17. I traveled Canada for 9 months. It was like a government leadership program. You live with 10 other kids, and basically you do volunteer work as a full-time job in the city that you live in, and you live in 3 different cities in 3 different provinces. And this group of 10 kids, you're like in it together. You have a full-time job, volunteer job. So there's a project manager that goes ahead of everyone, and they find like a full-time job for you. And then evenings and weekends, you're whatever. Like we did soup kitchens, we built floats for parades, we did music festivals, we did 101 stuff, we did community gardens. And every week, a guy and a girl would stay home and be the mom and dad of the house. So I did this program, but I remember I almost got kicked out in the first month. And then I was like holding on by like a thread. Like you get 3 strikes and you're out. And I was like holding on for the rest of the 9 months. And I remember when we went from the first province to the second, I thought, whew, I survived. I've learned everything I can learn from this experience. If I get kicked out now, I've gotten everything I can get. Who I am, like I am who I'm going to be from this program. That's why I laugh so hard, because you're like, and then after the next one I moved, I was like, now I know everything. Now I've had all the experiences that this program has to offer. And then I got to the last place and we finally finished the program. And I went, finish the program? I really now know everything about this. How foolish I was. And then I kept meeting people I did the program with like years later. I was in Tokyo and I met Natalie, one of the girls in the program. This is 5 years after it. And we both had like an aha epiphany, and I laughed and I was like, now I've learned everything that I'm going to learn, you know? And it's like you said, like Harish now versus 2 years ago is totally different, but now I know everything. Now I know everything. And that's I don't think there's a summit to this mountain. I love that. I love that. I love that. Are you concerned at all about the big AI companies cannibalizing the best products that use their API?
Yes, but also, like I said, as technology evolves, as the world evolves, there is going to be a way around building on top of these AI companies, right?
Mhm.
I just don't know what it looks like right now. Everyone is going to experiment and try to figure out how to live in your world alongside these big companies.
Yep.
But yes, you try to build something, and the next day, this like ChatGPT and Anthropic of the world has added that feature.
Yeah, and you've been wiped out. What does this mean? I mean, you say your background was in security. So in terms of privacy and security, I think we're seeing a lot around censorship, around personal data. There's bot farms now. Like, what do you? Yeah,
It's with AI, security and privacy needs to evolve both from technical and policy perspective. No one has figured that out yet. It's an interesting space which so many I still talk to so many CISOs around the world. It's an interesting topic. We all brainstorm, but the truth is no one has a clear answer on this is how it should look like.
Mhm.
Because yes, Anthropic and ChatGPT says they won't train on your data,
Yeah,
but
but
nothing prevents from doing it.
yeah,
I was just reading an article about like Sam Altman talked about how people use ChatGPT as their therapist, but there is no doctor-patient privilege there. That means if a court case or something happens,
yep,
all the transcript can go to government.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very different from an attorney-client privilege or like doctor-patient privileges.
yep,
So how all those things evolve from policy perspective is again a question to look out for.
yeah. And then also at the same, I think it's the same sort of category, although people may not think so when they hear about it. But in my experience, it's also sort of getting hard. I mean, you talk about how you hate cold calling. It's hard for startups to get out there, I think now. Like Google this year, tightened the clamp on what's considered spam in terms of, I think before, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like before a 1% spam rate was the limit. And now it's like 0.1. It's like, and so it's just, it makes it hard for the new guys that don't have, like, what happens if you're brand new now? I mean, I've been online doing internet marketing since 2012. And in the early days, you could get clicks for 15 cents off Google. I mean, if you're getting 15 cents clicks off Google AdWords, as an example, with your target market, you can spend a couple $100. You can do an amazing amount of testing to try to dial in your offer and your copy and all this sort of stuff and get throughput, because you need conversions, you need leads in order to know what. Now you're paying like $5 a click in some niches. You're paying $50 a click in some niches. I mean, it's
So it goes even beyond that, right? Like 10 days back, ChatGPT rolled out preview version of making orders and purchases through ChatGPT. So now the question becomes like not just spam, right? How do you make AI understand and talk about your product, make it bring to the top? The best thing about AI as a user for me is like it's not giving me 100 products, it's giving me 3 products if I ask some questions about it.
right.
But if you are not one of the 3 products, now it gets even harder to be out there and selling to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And that's almost what free markets gave us, was the ability for people to vote with their dollars on the best one. And localization was a thing. But now it's like the world's consolidating into these massive behemoths and the winner take all sort of model. But now the risk is monopolies, and we've all worked with monopolies where we're on hold for 7 hours and you get 72 emails. You got to click 12 times through and give a blood sample to cancel your subscription, and it's like, yeah. So,
One of the things I am working on with my own customers is like how can we use AI and everything to provide like even more personalized marketing materials? Because at this point, people don't want to see 100 different things.
yeah,
The attention span and amount of time you spend in internet clicking through links is going down even as a users. So yeah, things are going to change. I have no idea how the end product is going to look like, but it's one of an example, right?
yeah,
People don't, if you send a generic ad, they just pass through it. But
yeah,
if you customize it based on their previous shopping experience, then it becomes more interesting for them to, oh, let me check out this product.
Hyper relevance. Hyper
Yes.
relevant for hyper relevance. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, it's interesting times. Do you think that AI is going to replace us and we're all just going to be like plugged into pods like the Matrix as batteries to feed this massive machine?
It's going to definitely change the way people get educated and the skill set that's needed to be in the industry. An example for me is like every factory in the industry I work sends like a list of, I am sending 10 t-shirts, I'm sending 50 black t-shirts and everything. And there used to be a human being who used to look at the list, enter it back, enter the data back into the system. Now AI can parse and pre-fill it, and you just have to verify it. That means a 10-hour job has become a 5-minute job. And now it provides them with an opportunity to be relevant is to make more business decisions. How can we do something different? So the skill set from data entry more to like a more high level thought process or figuring out something else. So yeah, all these jobs are going to evolve. Even as an engineer, jobs are going to evolve. You are not like literally coding every line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more architecture oriented. So every job is going to evolve.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I agree. I think we've been saying we're going to replace humans since, we figured out how to have animals farm for us. And then we had the tractor. We're not going to need farmers anymore. And then we had calculators. We're not going to need mathematicians anymore. And then we had spreadsheets, and we're not going to need accountants anymore. And then we had QuickBooks, and we're not going to need CPAs anymore. But really what happened was the productive people became more productive, and the non-productive people lost their excuse for why it took them 7 hours to do 2 + 2 = 4. And they had to reskill and find something else. So I agree. I like to bring this up. Have you seen the Spark of Life? Maybe you don't even know what I'm referring to.
No.
So there's fertility clinics all over the world. And I was shocked. This is probably about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago now. I saw a video, you can find these online, that the moment the sperm and the egg meet, there is a flash of light. So that means there's a spark inside you and there's a spark inside me. And I think that to me, that is the closest to repeatable, demonstratable proof element of the spark of consciousness. Maybe even you could call it a soul. Scientists say it's a release of zinc by the egg, but you show me a release of zinc that creates sentient conscious life, right? I mean, I grew up in a house of geology and applied physics, so I'm all with the hard sciences, but there is the miracle of life, and everything is built on one miracle anyhow. Just give me the big bang and I'll explain away everything else. And so for me, that to me is the moat that prevents humanity from being replaced by AI. That we can create AGI perhaps, but it's just going to be a tool because we have a spark, and that spark guides us. And the bus is never going to pick its own destination. Like we're in the bus driving. That's how I feel. But it can be harder, and other people with buses will run you off the road. And yeah.
Change is always scary, but it's a good thing. It has to happen for us to evolve.
Yeah. I think it's a natural process. I think we're so into it we can't see the fractal. But everything had to change. When you boil water for tea, the water had to change. It all has to change. So Harish, this has been a great interview. I got a page of notes here. People may want to listen to it more than once to make sure they got all the goods out of it. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
Nothing that comes on
And
top of my mind.
if people want to reach out, if they want to get in touch, if they want to hear your thoughts or find out more about what you're doing, what are some of the best ways for them to contact you or to follow up?
Follow me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the best place.
Is it? Okay. So go find him on LinkedIn. You can look up Harish, Harish Chandramowli, which is spelt how it sounds, Chandramowli. Harish Chandramowli. You can also just look up Zeroshop.ai and Flaire, Flaire. If you see Harish there with Zeroshop and Flaire, you know you got the right guy. Harish, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I really do have a page of notes here. I appreciate knowing that you got your own direct reports, your own customers. You're in Times Square. You could be looking out, people watching. Thank you for coming and sharing with my audience tonight so we can all do better.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.